Namaskar. Good afternoon.
Namaskar, Madhavaji. Very good afternoon
Uh,
to you.
Okay. So, Anupji, let me introduce you to the viewers. Thank you very much for taking time and from your busy schedule. I know you are on business tours. So, let me quickly introduce you so that our viewers know. Um, Anup Kumar Mukherjee is a chartered accountant by profession, an alumni of prestigious Sri Ram College of Commerce. He's an ardent reader and writes regularly in his blog, stories, poems, and opinions. I did read his blogs, and he does share his stories as well. They are very informative, and they do have wisdom in them. And Anupji, basically, how he comes across, I think, in his opinion, race for materialism has driven large part of population away from family and social values. So today's topic is Mahabharat, which is my favorite topic as well. And our foundation is basically looking at human rights and environment and sustainable living and also interfaith. So we have to focus in these four areas, and so management of day-to-day business from an ethical perspective, and also using the instances of Mahabharata. This is going to be the topic. um, Welcome, Anupji.
Thank you.
Welcome to our show. Yes, please. So today, our so Anupji, you can start by speaking a little bit how you got interested in Mahabharata, and so what lessons that you learned, and shall I? And then I do have a presentation from you which I will share. Whenever you want me to share, I will start showing it. Anupji, can you hear me? Hello. Anup. Hello. Hello. I think, as usual, it is rainy season in India, and no, sorry, I think it is Anupji is somewhere abroad. I think he's in Mauritius today, somewhere. So it's due to rainy season, and there are a lot of um, technical difficulties that people do face. Last time also we did face it. Um, so Mahabharata. So I will introduce a little bit more about Mahabharata. Or actually, maybe I can show you the presentation which Anupji wanted to show. So let me see if in case I can actually open that. Welcome, Anupji.
Yeah, it is due to the fluctuations in the internet in connectivity.
I know,
I,
I know.
I,
It's
I was locked out.
right,
Yeah.
right. Okay. So, welcome. One more time, I did give a presentation. I will. I already introduced about you. So basically, I'm interested in more knowing how you came across Mahabharata, and what motivated you to get into subject like Mahabharata, using Mahabharata the business ethics, because you are a CA chartered accountant, and that too a successful one. So talk more about your interest in Mahabharata, sir.
Yes, certainly. Thanks, Mr. Madhava, for the beautiful introduction, which I could never write for myself. Thanks a lot for that. Regarding interest in Mahabharata, actually, I would say it started in a very early childhood when our grandmother used to read the Bengali Mahabharata to us on all the weekdays and whenever we have the holidays. And I think we might have heard the entire Mahabharata more than 5 or 6 times from her, or even maybe more. We don't remember how many times. And we used to play, or we used to discuss those things at times, lot of times. That was in childhood. Then with the growing up, of course, we get out of touch with Mahabharata. But recently, I have been reading a lot, and now I see that Mahabharata is not only an epic; it is not only a religious book, but it is basically a guidelines for the mankind. It contains everything which happens in the world.
Right.
And since I'm connected to the business and I have a business management consultant, I always try to look at Mahabharata for the problems, or for the way the business people are behaving around us. And that is why there
Right.
are a lot of it, but I decided to speak on only few points which I have uh, take, chosen for the day, because the whatever the points which I have noted in Mahabharata, I cannot speak in a single day. It will
Right.
take a number of days. Okay, so I have a presentation, but if anybody wants that presentation, or we can upload that presentation later on your blog, on
Right.
your page, which the people can access. Currently, I will explain to them. First thing is, Mahabharata is an epic without any doubt, and there have been
Shall
several
I
debates
show
on.
your presentation as well? Anupji, shall I show your presentation?
Yes, you can
Or
show
is it
it,
all right?
certainly.
Oh,
Yes, you can show it, no issues.
okay.
I think you can share it easily.
I'm trying to show now.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yes, from this page
Yes.
only. Yes, Mahabharata is an epic without any doubt, and there have been several debates and volumes of pages have been written on the historical aspects. But that is not
Right.
my topic of discussion. I am not going to the history of Mahabharata, whether when it happened, why, where it happened, and whether it happened or not, because sometimes some people dispute the happening of Mahabharata or Ramayana. But I'm not going
Right.
to that. I'm going into the teachings which this book has given to me, or some of the teachings, not all. In my opinion, it is entirely different from Ramayana, which is much more revered in larger part of India. Ramayana is a story of principles of a king, his journey through his life, and Lord Ram never deviates from his principles, the dharma. Each violation of rule, each breach of principle is punished in some manner or the other in Ramayana. But when we come to Mahabharata, it is a bit different. It is much later period, the period which has already seen some of the corruption coming in the society, maybe later.
Sir, shall I? When you tell me when you when to go to the next slide, I will do it. Yes.
Yeah, next slide, please. Next slide, please.
Yes.
Yeah, Mahabharata is a story of much later period, where there were some who upheld the principles, like Lord Ram. Once they committed, they stood by their commitment. It is a story of direct conflict of principles, rules, and justice. In Ramayana, we don't see the conflict. The rules follow the principles, the justice follows the rules and principles. But in Mahabharata, at times, we see them at coming into the conflict of each other. The driver of the story of hello, is it all right? Audible?
Yes, sir. It's audible. Yes, please continue. It's audible.
It's audible. Okay.
Yes.
The driver of the story are the feelings and sentiments. The sentiments of getting hurt of devotion, it is sentiments of devotion, of promises. And there is Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is beyond any sentiments. For him, only thing that matters is the action, the result and the results. He advises others to remain motivated to their duties and leave the results to nature. We will come back to sentiments, lessons, and management.
Yes.
But before that, I would say the justice becomes supreme in Mahabharata also. The rules and principles are bent to sustain the justice. In Ramayana, we say the justice followed the rules and principles, but here rules and principles are bent to sustain justice. Sins do not go unpunished largely, even if they are logically argued and are justified. The story justifies committing a smaller sin to avenge an earlier, bitter, and a bigger sin. We see that in Mahabharat, in the Kurukshetra, there are some deviation from the rule of the rule of the war. Then there is war of the of Bhishma, of Devavrata,
Hmm.
and the thin line what he walks all through his life. He took the vow to protect the throne of Hastinapur. The thin line, whether that meant the protection of the occupier of the throne, the king, or protection of the country, the kingdom. This question came up several times in his life, but he did not cross the line, and he defined himself as the protection of the occupier of the throne. And that drove the Mahabharata for larger part of the story. Next slide, please.
So, sir, can I ask a question here?
Yes, sure.
So this is so the lesson from this slide is that Bhishma is has he vowed to protect the kingdom and everything in his capability he tried to do that, right?
Right, right.
So I'll go to the next slide.
Yes, next slide, please. Now, next slide, when I say the examples and the lessons. Currently in the business, segregation of management and the ownership. I think Bhishma presents the first example of segregation of management from ownership when he decided that he will not have any stake in the kingdom. He will not be the owner, but he will be the manager only.
Right.
Right. That I take as the first example of segregation of duties of manager, segregation of management and ownership. However, the lesson which that segregation teaches us, the managers of the business today must learn from his action. He gave the king more importance than the country or the organization. The manager must focus, a professional manager must focus on the organization and its objectives, not the personal aspirations of the owners. If the same is
Right.
detrimental to the interest of the organization, then the organization has the prime importance, not the shareholders, not the owners. That is the lesson
Owners.
which I draw from this episode. Right?
Very interesting.
Next, please. Next. Then we here we talk of BCP DRP practices, that is the business continuity practices and disaster recovery practices.
Right.
Uh,
Okay.
I borrow I borrow a paragraph from Mahabharata by C. Rajagopalachari. The paragraph reads, "He alone will escape from danger who forestalls the intentions of an astute enemy. There are weapons sharper than those made of steel, and the wise man who would escape destruction must know the means to guard against them. The conflagration that devastates a forest cannot hurt a rat, which shelters himself in a hole, or a porcupine which burrows in the earth. The wise man knows his bearings by looking at the stars." This statement can be used fittingly in business and commerce. The escape route in the face of exigency should be identified and plans made executed. Uh, this statement was made actually in the story by Vidur when Yudhishthira was leaving Hastinapur for going to Varnavrat, where Vidur had the information that Duryodhan has built a house for them with inflammable material, and Vidur was aware that Yudhishthir and his brothers will be burnt to death. Vidur at that time asked Yudhishthir which animal can escape a fire in a forest, and he answered it is a rat. So it was a guidance to him that they have to escape from a hole, and that arrangement was also done by Vidur. That is continuity practice. So anybody who is doing a business, he has to look at the risks which are going to be there. Like the world is facing the pandemic now, and the larger IT companies could shift their work from office to homes of their employees, even if implementing surveillance in many cases. There can be discussions whether the output have increased or decreased, but these companies have been able to survive their work or perform their work because they have the rat holes visualized. But some similar companies might have not visualized, and might not have planned the BCP DRP practices correctly. Next slide, please. Mr. Madhava, next slide, please. Okay, I think but I can just go through. There's a lesson which I get, that when a manager or when a CEO has the professional team, the team should be taken along. Mr. Madhava, can we have the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Slide number
Sorry,
6.
I got disconnected. Please don't mind.
Yes, you got disconnected. Yes.
Yes.
Take slide number 6 with the
Yeah, 1 second.
take the team along and consult them. When Yudhishthir played the dice, he had the most powerful people with him, his brothers.
Slide number
But
6,
he
sir?
did not. Slide number 6.
Yes, that's 6. Yes. So the lessons: take the team along and consult
Yes, take the team along and consult them.
them. Yes.
Yes.
1 second. I'm showing it.
Yes,
Yeah,
this one.
I'm showing it now.
Thanks. Yeah. This lesson is I take the incident of the playing of dice.
Interesting
When
observation.
Yudhishthir went to Hastinapur to play the dice at the invitation of Duryodhan, he had the most powerful people in his team: Bhim, Arjun, Nakul, Sahadev. But he did not consult them. So, for a manager, I think this serves a guide that at times CEOs or owners just refuse to recognize that they are not the know all persons. They behave in a manner that since the organization is their baby, nobody knows better in any decision making process likely to have far reaching effects. The team of experts should be part of decision making and be consulted also. They should not be asked just to mark their attendance. Like the Yudhishthir came to Hastinapur to play the dice, he had all the powers, but addiction of gambling played heavy on him, and he did not ask any of his brothers for their opinion. His overconfidence, addiction, failed to forestall the results of the unjustified action, and everybody in his house, everybody has to pay for that, with a long story which everybody knows. He had the more efficient tape. Right? Next one. Mr. Madhav, next slide, please.
Yes, I'm having it. Yes. Strategic retreat.
Strategic retreat, yes. Strategic retreat. Normally, we see in some of the wars, when we read the history of wars, we read about strategic retreat. When in a combat, the strategic retreat might be necessity. Similarly, in business also, strategic retreat is necessary. And where is the example of strategic retreat in Mahabharata? I would say not only strategic retreat, but strategic sacrifice also. The competitors in the business world do watch for weaknesses in each other and are ready to pounce upon the prey to fill the belly. The risk assessment and mitigation planning has to be done very carefully. At times, every organization has to cede ground or sacrifice something, and acknowledge some losses for a greater win. Example is during the war in Mahabharata, it was only Karna who was capable of killing Arjuna, and that too with a specific weapon which he got as a boon, the Shakti. But that weapon could be used only once. Before there was a direct fight between Arjuna and Karna, Ghatotkacha was put in the fight and he caused immense destruction of Kaurav army. Ghatotkacha was son of Bhim, and to kill him, Karna had to use that weapon. And we know that on death of Ghatotkacha, while everybody was mourning the death, Bhim and his brothers were mourning the death, Krishna was smiling and he said, now Arjuna can fight Karna boldly. So he accepted a sacrifice to save Arjun, who is a bigger power than Ghatotkacha. Thank you. Next slide, please. Question of knowledge in questions of Yaksh.
Yaksha.
Yaksh.
This is my favorite topic, sir. Yaksha Prashna from Mahabharata.
Yes. Actually, there are a lot of questions, but I have taken only taken few of them in 3 tranches. The first tranche, I have taken 4 questions.
Yes, sir.
That is, what rescues man in a danger? The answer is courage, which is man's salvation. Second question is, what is more blighted than withered saw? The answer is a sorrow-stricken heart. Third is, by the study of which science does man become wise? The answer is not by study, but by association by the great in wisdom that he gets wisdom. And fourth is, what befriends a traveler? Answer is learning. I take these questions in the first tranche of my analysis. Next slide, please. If I take all these questions together, and combine them, I see a man becomes wise not only by acquiring book knowledge, but by associating himself with great wisdom, as only that gets him wisdom. And a traveler has the advantage of continuous learning. Therefore, if a man takes his assignment, his life as a journey, he will always be learning. So I'm not talking about a geographical traveler, I am talking about the life as a travel. And when we take the assignments in life as journey, we continue learning with each journey. And certainly the courage is of prime importance. If we don't have courage, we can't take risk or we can't get out. The knowledge acquired only through academics is not sufficient. That's an important thing, which many of us have learned today. It is actually one of the source of knowledge. The academics are one of the source of knowledge, which is completed by associating with those having knowledge, associating with those having experience and learning. So when we acquire knowledge from the academics and we get associated with the people having knowledge, experience, and much more learning, we enrich ourselves. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. And how it continues the same.
Yes, sir.
How can one salvage himself from a danger? A man whose heart is stricken by sorrow, one who is confused or finding himself in dungeon depths of sorrow, cannot swim out of water. It is only the courage which enables him to think of possible solutions and wade through the storm. It is only courage which gives him some hopes. If he is stricken by sorrow, he will lose all hopes. And that courage comes with confidence and the ability to even think of options to fight the problem. It comes with knowledge. The options come with knowledge. The current curriculum designers have recognized this fact. This is my analysis. The current curriculum designers have recognized this fact that only the book knowledge cannot take a student to anywhere in the career. For that reason, Many of the institutions have made it mandatory and also ensured that the students should get practical training, whether as apprentice or industrial training, whatever is the nomenclature. Okay. Uh, Next slide.
Yes, sir.
There's one question. What is fleeter than wind? The answer given is mind. This question and its answer tell us that mind is lighter than wind and it can go anywhere. Mind can wander anywhere if not controlled properly. Any manager has to keep control of mind and avoid any lust or obsession to cloud his judgment and sight. I normally in business management dealings, I always use a statement that we should not prejudge. He has to consider knowledge, expertise, information, analytical deductions from the available information, whether statistical or otherwise, and only then act. He should not act leaving his mind to the wind. Next one, please.
Yes, sir. I'm already there.
Yes. Again, I am combining two questions. What is that abandoning which man becomes loved by all? It's pride.
Right. Okay.
For a pride that man will be loved by all. Second question is, what is the loss which yields joy and not sorrow? That is anger. Giving up the anger, we will no longer be subject to sorrow. The above two questions and answers speak about building the character of a true leader and manager. A boss cannot take his team far too long. It is a leader who can. And what a difference between what two. The leader keeps his pride and anger aside as both isolate him from his peers as also from his team. Mahabharata has some specific instances when it has demonstrated the futility of needless pride and anger. So a businessman has to, a business manager, a leader, he has to be a leader, not a boss, not a dictatorial person. And with this,
Interesting.
before I close, I give my concluding remarks. Duryodhana's offensive against Pandava was driven by these two factors and destroyed him totally. His anger that why Yudhishthir was a challenge to his accession to the throne could have been handled by him had he realized that competition was in the skills and maturity and not in parental lineage. This has to be appreciated at the level of business management that different options should always be scanned for and chosen whenever the opportunity strikes. The epic has everything from principles to executions, errors and instructions, penalties and awards, and we can talk more in future. And with that, while I concluding presentation, with again thanking Mr. Madhava, and we are open to question and
Thank you, sir.
answers.
Are you okay? Okay. So there are questions. We are now about to show some questions. First question is actually, if you could read it on the screen, it is by Arindam Sen, Mr. Arindam Sen. My question to Anup,
Yes.
it was about right leadership and leadership. The victors had Krishna. Why couldn't Karna play that role well? Anup, he too was a man of principles. That's a very nice question.
Yes.
I love it. I love that.
He could not play the role well because he was only supporting Duryodhan and he was not directing Kauravas. Krishna was directing Kauravas. Krishna's
Right.
leadership was, he was the leader to Kauravas. Karna was not a leader to Kauravas. Karna was only a supporting to Duryodhan. He was there saying that he is fulfilling his duty as friend and as a supporting to Duryodhan, and he never directed Duryodhan to perform or not to perform in a particular manner, which Krishna was continuously doing. and that made the difference.
Right. Right. So there is the next
Right.
question is from our professor, scholar, head of the Department of Philosophy, right from Nepal, our Govinda Sharanji. He's a great personality in terms of philosophy. So he's asking a question, sir. Do Mahabharata helps the modern management system?
Yeah. Before I answer the question, I would say Mr. Arindam Sen, who asked the previous question, he is my
Yes,
batchmate in chartered accountancy.
Oh,
He
excellent.
was, yes.
Very nice. Very nice.
Professor
Congratulations, sir.
Professor Govinda Sharan, the Mahabharata helps modern management system. Yes, I think it helps, and not only these tidbits which I have spoken about today. If you look at the Aranyakand, the 12 years which they spent in the forest, actually it is the longest one, but since it is only has got preachings, it has never come in some serial or movies. But if we have a serious reading of Aranyakand, we will find a lot of guidances there which are relevant to the modern management. Because Aranyakand has several rishis visiting Pandavas or Pandavas going to the rishis and taking lessons. It has relevance in the modern management. Yes, please.
Yes, I think
Next, please.
when I recently, as recent as 3 months back, my mother visited me from India. So for 6 months,
Yes.
what we did was nothing but reading the entire Mahabharata and entire Ramayana. We started it is so fascinating to go through the journey. And I was applying my
Yes.
own mind. I think yes, it is definitely a subject which people must see that it's the wisdom which our ancients have kept in there. And so many characters. I mean, just now you mentioned about Karna. What a fascinating question. Krishna and
Yes.
Karna, and then Bhishma. Brilliant people, brilliant characters, and this is something which we face. I mean,
Yes.
somebody who's who's gambling addict, Dharmaraja, and he had so many friends, as you suggested, Anupji. Yes, that is a great observation. There are he has entire team with him, but he did not consult them.
He did not consult. Yes.
Bhima gets upset. Expert is there. Bhima asks, "Why did you do this, brother without without?" And then the same thing even in Ramayana. Ravan, and after he goes to war with Ram, and then he goes and wakes up Kumbhakaran. And Kumbhakaran questions, "Why did you wake me up in the middle of my sleep?" Because he sleeps for 6 months. And Ravan says
Yes.
that, "Okay, I brought somebody's wife, and the husband came to war, and he has destroyed the entire Lanka, and half of our people are killed, and then I'm unable to fight this Ram. Now I need your help." And then Kumbhakarna questions, "Brother, you are such a mighty person. I adore you for all your knowledge that you have. But did you ever ask me whether should I abduct somebody's wife or not? Did you ask me before you do that? Now that you are
No.
facing destruction, you woke me up. Still, out of respect to you as brother, I will go and fight. But don't expect me to win." And then he goes to the war. So these are
Yes.
fascinating observations. Okay, so
Actually,
there is
I
another
myself.
great question, sir.
Actually,
Yes, sir.
Mr.
Go ahead.
Madhava,
Yes.
this when you refer to this asking the team, I myself faced this incidents in my life. In one of the when we were discussing the project of one of the client, uh, myself
Right.
was there, myself and the engineer, the consultant engineer, both of us called on the director, and we had a meeting with a funding agency. So three of us went there, and incidentally, the funding agency persons was the of the same mother tongue which the director was, and we were not of a different language.
Yes.
They knew some Marathi from a same region, and neither me nor the
Right.
consultant engineer was the Marathi. So the director
Right.
told us,
Okay.
"Look, I will explain the project to this person in Marathi that I will be very comfortable. And if he has any question, then both of you can ask." So myself and the professional engineer were sitting there for half an hour and listening to whatever they were talking, and we were not understanding anything. After the finish of the half an hour, that person said, "Okay, I will come back." I never came back
Oh, okay.
because director never asked us what to say, and he said what he wanted.
Oh God. That's interesting. Very,
Yes,
very interesting observation. These are very interesting things that we can actually learn from Mahabharata. Okay, so there is another
yes.
question which I'm showing now. Which okay, from KN Goswami, dear Anupji, is there any specific practices which we may implement in controlling our mind in order to achieve dispassion and equanimity?
Mr. Goswami, yes, certainly there are practices, but I think today's matter what we were discussing is the business lessons for business management. And when we talk about specific practices which we implement in controlling our mind, I would say the practice has to be defined by ourselves only. If we define our objective that we want to control our mind, like if
Right.
I'm undecided how whether I am going to control our mind or whether I'm going to allow my mind to wither away, then it will be difficult. But the first thing is we should tell our mind that I have to define it. I have to define my goals. Unless I define my goals, I cannot control my mind. But certainly we can take help from people, or that's just like Mr. Goswami, he was with us in the previous meeting also.
Right. Okay, sir.
Right.
So another question from Raja Ghoshal. Raja Ghoshal. In
Yes.
current times of COVID, what specific principles can we take from Mahabharata? Example from Vidur to Yudhishthira regarding forest fire, etc.
Yeah, Mr. Madhav, Mr. Raja Ghoshal is from Australia. He is an economics teacher, economics lecturer in
Oh,
Australia.
welcome to Australia.
But
This
he
is a
got
truly
stuck
global
up in
meeting.
India. Yeah, global meeting. He
Right.
got
So,
stuck in India after pandemic.
right.
The current times of COVID, that specific principles can we take from Mahabharata. One which I already explained is that business continuity practice or disaster recovery planning, which we have done. Secondly, I would say which is not a business management, but yes, COVID times had caused financial difficulties for a lot of families. Thousands, not thousands, rather, I would say millions of people have are seeing their income going down. The COVID time, the Mahabharata tells us that when our income goes down, we should not allow ourselves to go into depression and not go to the committing suicide like many of the Bollywood and entertainment industry. Many people
Ah,
in the entertainment industry are committing suicide. But we should look at Mahabharata when this the strongest people in the India, the five most strongest people in India, opted for this 12 years of Banvas. They sometimes they lived on for the minimum of needs. They did not have any palace. They did not have any um, assisting persons. They did not have any rath, any vehicle. They cooked whatever they could gather from the forest. They cooked that. They ate that. So life changes, and we have to adjust ourselves, our needs according to life, what is available around us. And we should not say that okay, I have been doing this, I have been getting something for last 10 years, I should get this year also, I should get this next year also. Whatever I am getting this for last 10 years, yes, it was God was with me. But if God is testing me for 1 month, 2 months, or a year or two, I must excel in that exam, and I must tell the God that okay, you took an exam, and look, I am with you. I have qualified that exam and I have not failed. So that is the lesson I would learn. uh,
thank you, sir.
Next question.
So the other question is from Ravi Bhattacharji. So he is asking, do you think that wisdoms all over the world, including the great Greek mythologies, talk about the same things?
uh,
Same things. Yeah.
Professor Dr. Ravi Bhattacharya, he is one of the best five lecturers in Delhi University of Physics.
Oh, namaskar, Professor Bhattacharji. Welcome. Welcome, sir.
And he is also a organizer of International Physics Olympiad for the last 20 years.
Oh, great. Right.
Dr. Bhattacharya, when we say that refer to Greek mythologies, great mythologies, I have not read any mythology beyond India, but I think there is wisdoms should be there in each mythology, because these things have been written by people who were visualizers. They visualized and they wrote a lot. So whether it is Greek mythology also should be writing about these things, but I don't have any personal knowledge about that. Thank you.
The great question, sir. But basically, I think we will have this subject as a discussion topic, because I am fascinated myself about Greek mythology, especially the Achilles heel and the Trojan horse. These are very, very interesting for the modern day business scenarios, where Achilles heel, they call it, is in English, the Greek mythology, where Achilles was shot with an arrow in his feet and then the heel, and then he couldn't do much, and so it actually stopped him from going anywhere. It's so that's one which is very interesting. So maybe next time, maybe professor himself can enlighten us, perhaps if he has time. So there is
Yes.
there is another observation, I think, from Arindam Senji, your good friend. So I'm actually about to
Yes.
show it. I think it's now, it will
Role
be
of,
on the screen now.
yeah,
Just
it is
read
on the
it.
screen.
Roles of women in management. Yeah. So,
Pandavas
yeah.
had women in Draupadi, Kunti, and Subhadra, and their opinion was weighed and it mattered. Kauravas were more practical and never gave woman opinion much thought. Yes, you are right in your observation, Arindam.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
you're right, because I think Gandhari has been speaking against the actions of Duryodhan, but she was never given any value by Gandhari or Dhritarashtra. And we know that when Duryodhan was proceeding for the war, Gandhari refused to give him the blessings of Vijayi Bhava. So Mr. Arindam is quite right in observation.
Yes. I think
Yeah.
it is one observation which I came across is that both are matriarchal, but because both sides, women took decisions. Both sides. Gandhari's decision is very, very important, but at the same time, I think Kauravas had gone against they had this will to go against and challenge the matriarchal system. That's why I think they dishonored a woman in the middle of the Kurusabha, which was forbidden.
Right.
And so that is their way of revolution, to show that we don't care for women's power anymore. Whereas Draupadi asserted her power, and she is the cause of war, but at the same time, it is her honor which was in question. So she was dishonored and disrespected in the middle of the entire kingdom, entire Kurusabha. So I think it is a very interesting angle there, where who won really Mahabharata war? I think it is Draupadi who won the Mahabharata war, and who lost is Gandhari lost the war.
Gandhari lost the war. But I would, Mr. Madhava, I have heard this sentence that Draupadi is cause of the war. I disagree with this sentence, because even if it is not Draupadi, even if Draupadi had not been there, Draupadi, the cause of the war is the ego, is the property, not the woman. Woman came later on. When we say that
Right. Okay.
she came much later. The cause of the war existed much before that. Varnavrat happened even before introduction of Draupadi to the story. We know that, right? But yes, next comment is by Swapna Bhattacharya.
Yes.
Draupadi played a major role in epic battle. That is true. She played a major role, certainly. Swapna Bhattacharya is a Deputy General Manager of State Bank of India.
Namaskar, Swapna ji. Welcome to our show. That's very nice, sir. So the question, so I have a few uh, observations to make. Not few. I mean, not many, but basically, Draupadi. So Krishna, when he went into, see, your observation, right? That I think you are trying to protect Draupadi, okay? Whereas, which is nice, but at the end of the day, when nice of, you see, India, we always protect Sita and Draupadi.
Yes.
It is our way of because we honor our women. I mean, so we don't want to agree that Draupadi caused the war. Whereas it is
Yes.
at the same time when Dharmaraja asks Krishna to go and do the Sandhi, there is a Shanti Parva, right? There is a
Yes.
Sandhi Parva where in the
Right.
Sandhi, actually, Dharmaraja tries to send Krishna and Draupadi stops him. She actually scolds Dharmaraja saying, how could you? I mean, there is a very interesting episode within Mahabharata called as Prahlada Bali Samvada within Mahabharata. And
Yes.
it is one of my favorite debates. It's called a Samvada, means a debate, highly
Yes.
held debate. Prahlada Bali Samvada is narrated by Draupadi to Dharmaraja when Dharmaraja asks Krishna, go and speak to Duryodhan, tell him that war is unnecessary, ask him to give, we are 5 brothers, ask him to give 5 villages to us. We are happy. We will be content. Okay? Let's not go
Right.
to war.
Right.
And then Draupadi says, Krishna, stop there. Don't you dare move. And then she comes in front of Dharmaraja and says, what are you speaking? Why are you asking only 5 villages when you could actually win the entire kingdom?
Yes.
And Draupadi and Dharmaraja, Krishna was a mute spectator. Krishna, while Dharmaraja and Draupadi were talking to each other, Krishna was the mute spectator, but he was there. In his presence, Dharmaraja and Draupadi argue about whether to go to war or not. And Draupadi was the best barrister out there, in my opinion. The best barrister who could convince the most peaceful person, Dharmaraja, to go to war.
Okay.
And the episode name is called as Prahlada Samvada. So, and those who are viewers, it is a very, I mean, when I read it, it's fascinating. After the convincing of the Draupadi, still Dharmaraja says, yes, Draupadi, because she is a hurt woman and her honor is, taken away. She is completely disrespected and which should not be tolerated. But what to do? Some idiots are out there who would disrespect women. So ask them to apologize to Draupadi. But go to the Guru Sabha anyway and do what you have to do. So Krishna goes,
Yes.
but then he Duryodhan does something stupid, and as a result, the war takes place. But Draupadi repents, by the way. At the end of the war, Draupadi repents. But she wanted the war to happen. So Draupadi played a major role. This is how I see it. But of course, I honor your opinion. But by the way, many people disagree Draupadi caused war. I mean, but I am impartial when it comes to Draupadi, in between Draupadi and Raja.
No, I agree with this. I agree with the statement that she played a major role. There's no doubt about that. She had an epic role in the war, but she was not the cause of the war.
Right.
That's right. I see that.
Okay, let's agree. Okay. Disagree. So let's see if in case there are any further questions.
Yes.
Okay, there is one interesting question here. Sorry, I can't show. There are lots of comments here, brilliant comments and brilliant questions. Yeah. If I did not show your question, please forgive me because maybe I'm not able to read everything scrolling through. So Anuradha Bose does ask, what message we get when Kunti asked their son to share equally whatever they have? That's an interesting question.
Yeah, it is an interesting question, but I think I would avoid making any comment if Mr. Madhava can make a comment on this. Anuradha Bose
it's a simple comment.
From Delhi.
It's a simple comment. Even when
Yes.
mother says share, we share. That's it. I mean, who will go against the mother in a matriarchal system? See, here we are actually looking at the women who take decisions. Even in Ramayana also, women took the decision. See, in modern India, we say if in case a wife disagrees, husband does the work anyway. He let her disagree. In Ramayana, when Kaika asked Ram to go to Vanvas, to forest, Dasharath ji only can plead with her, beg her saying, and I will die. And she says, I don't care. And then he sent Ram away and he died. But at the end, Kaikeyi prevailed. So if in modern days, if in case other religions and other, they don't allow women to have that kind of decisions. So women have such mighty role they played in Ramayana and Mahabharata. They drove it. I mean, Kaikeyi took the decision, and Dasharatha, who's supposed to be the emperor of the emperors, and had all this mighty empire in his command and control, could not say a word.
Right.
So, in a way, because the question is actually driving how could women be shared? Maybe those days there are instances where even in Rigveda also there are instances where women took decisions to have many men. Urvashi did
Right.
that in Rigveda.
They can be.
So we are actually looking at the angle from the other way around. Today, men are very powerful and capable. As a result, we have to protect women. As a result, we look at it in our mindset is actually looking at women as if there are somebody who we need to protect. But in all those days, women did not think like they need protection. They were warriors as well. They took decisions.
They were warriors.
So Draupadi was completely capable in her own senses. She went and she did it. She accepted,
Yes.
and there was a discussion in Mahabharata where somebody did ask, actually Subhadra asks Draupadi, how could you? I'm actually my husband. Subhadra asks actually about about marital relationships. And Draupadi is considered as Mahapativrata, one of the chaste women having 5 husbands.
Right.
So she does ask actually how did it work, and then if in case Anuradha ji is interested, you could go on. Mahabharata, you have to women took roles, serious roles. So they are not somebody who's actually they are not property who are actually shared with 5 others. It was her decision to go up. A woman who was control Kunti did it. Okay, sorry, I went into the diatribe. So okay, Ashok Saxena ji has asked a good question. So we are, if in case I'm not, okay, so what it says that, I think it is, does killing of Abhimanyu provide us any management lesson? Why did not Lord Krishna save him?
Yes, if you talk about management lessons, certainly we should draw management lessons. The second part, why did not Lord Krishna save him? But Lord Krishna also always said that there is destiny. When a soul takes a shape in a body, when the soul takes the birth in a body, it has its destiny defined and it has to die. So maybe that was the destiny for Abhimanyu. And we also know that when Abhimanyu was introduced to Draupadi and other people, because Abhimanyu stayed with Lord Krishna and Subhadra during the 13 years of exile, and they were blessing Abhimanyu with long live. Lord Krishna said, no, don't bless him long live. He is a Kshatriya. Bless him with be a great warrior, not be a long living person. So he knew that he is going to die. That is for second part. First is management lessons. Yes, when somebody is in business and he is producing, say, more than one item, anybody, say, might be Hindustan Lever, it might be a very big example, but it is a multi-locational, multi-discipline, multi-product. If they devote their best people only for a product which is not going to sustain, or if the competitors know that they have devoted their best people for a product and a competitor get together, all the competitors get together to kill that product might be killed, but during this time their other products might also suffer because this person was not devoting their best person have withdrawn from all other products. I think Hindustan Lever is a too big name for such an example. But say if an MSME is there who is manufacturing 10 products and suddenly one person says, no, I am going to promote only one and let the other 9 products be promoted by my employees. And his competitors come to know that the best salesperson is promoting one product, he is ignoring the other 9 products. They will compete such fiercely against that product that that product will die. And that is the Abhimanyu. That is what happened with Abhimanyu. That is my generalization. Abhimanyu,
Excellent.
when he Abhimanyu, when he invaded that Chakravyuh, there should have been proper planning, a better planning, that he is either he doesn't go too deep inside, or he the when the Jayadratha was fighting with the other Pandavas, he should have stopped. Abhimanyu should have stopped and come back with to fight with Jayadratha or take his uncles with him, something like that.
What my observation, sir, if I may, what my observation towards
Yes.
Abhimanyu is, see, Mahabharata, it was a killing field. I mean, 18 Akshauhinis, the amount of massacre that took place there was not massacre, but the killing that took place. It was a war. I mean, war means there is always killing that takes place and people do die. And Mahabharata war beginning itself, there is this Krishna's opinion is given. In Mahabharata, the Krishna's opinion is given, which we should not ignore, as Krishna's opinion is in Bhagavad Gita, where he was saying that people do slain, people do get killed, but it is only the body that dies, but not the the soul, the Atman. So because of that kind of opinion that he held, and which is the mindset at that time, I did see everyone is a fearless warrior. They were warring. I mean, they were not thinking that I'm going to die. I don't think Abhimanyu ever bothered about that he's going to die, because when you go into war, the inevitable consequence is that you are going to be killed. Either you come back alive, you can be, see, even the victorious side also, a lot of people who die. So Abhimanyu knew that he is going to die. He says to his mother that I'm going to die, but I will meet whoever has gone away. A lot of people from Pandava side also got killed. No? So I'm going to meet them in the warriors' heaven. He says that actually in the warriors' heaven, they believed warriors' heaven, where I'm going to meet them again. I'm going to have merriment with them in the warriors' heaven. Veeraswarga, the name that he used. And so, but because he's a child, they did not, like, see, we see Mahabharata from our viewpoint, from our mindset, today's mindset, and we judge characters in Mahabharata. Whereas Abhimanyu, he was capable of fighting, but he does not know how to retreat. But he knew that inevitable consequences that he's going to die, but still he went into that. So sometimes we need to take decisions, and and accept the consequence of our decisions. Every decision will have a consequence, and that consequence we have to accept. That's what I understood. So sorry, one more question. We are actually running out of time now, 59 minutes, and okay, one question I'm going to show.
Yeah.
This is the last question, but there are other questions. Anupji, would you please kindly go to our Rajbodh website, not website, that Facebook, wherever the live video is. There are comments there. If you could kindly go through those comments, and if you have some questions which you did not answer. Okay. So here, Malavika asking why Devabrata took so long to surrender and understand the real Dharma.
No, I don't think Devabrata surrendered at all on his own wish. When Yudhishthir was sent by Krishna to Bhishma to return his blessings, Bhishma Devavrata has blessed Yudhishthir Vijay Bhav, and when Yudhishthir went to him, that your blessing is not working because you have the boon of an endless life. So he
And also Malvika is further asking, and please elaborate
importance of
on importance
Guru
of Guru. Exactly.
Parshuram Dronacharya. Okay, this is different thing. Let us first discuss that Devavrata. Devavrata did not surrender, but he
Yeah.
gave his explanation later on also when he told Arjuna that he has a shield of blessing, of a boon of being a Icha Mrityu, when I will die when I want.
Icha.
So, and Arjun did not have that kind of shield. So he asked Arjun to use a shield in the shape of Shikhandi because he will not hit Shikhandi directly. Bhishma will not have hit Shikhandi directly. So I won't call it surrender by Bhishma. I will call it an advice to Arjun to fight on equal footing. Arjun came with on a equal footing. And the next question is Guru. Yes, Guru is always there is difference. Parshuram is not a social Guru. Parshuram, there is difference between Parshuram and Dronacharya. Parshuram was a selfless. He did not have any interest in his teaching. He did not have any returns to take from his students, and he chose his students very carefully. Dronacharya had always an interest in teachings. Dronacharya has always an interest that he has to defeat Drupad. So that is the greatest difference between Parshuram and Dronacharya. But Guru is always Varsh. Guru is worship, and they say that in Hindi there is a saying, Guru Govind dau khade kakela gupaye, balihari Guru apne Govind diyo dikhaye. Right. Thank you. Yes.
Okay. So with this, we come to an end to our this episode. Thank you very much, Anupji. That was a wonderful presentation, and it is fascinating and very useful to the business and management as well. These principles, and so those who want to have the presentation of Anupji, please put that in the comment box, and Anupji will read, and then he would respond to you. And I thank you very much. Please, can you please click like? I am told that if you click like of Rajbodh, that Rajbodh Foundation, wherever you are on the web page, if you click like, then it would Facebook seem to be doing some kind of algorithm where it would start showing. Please, can you kindly help encourage clicking there? Okay. And thank Indu Kandu says, congratulations, Professor Induji. Namaskar. Thank you very much for everyone. I know I could not show all of your questions and comments, but I think this is, we are day by day, we are increasing. Very nice. Our increasing. So this is what we want to bring together. We want to bring together, we all religiously, we are all Hindus, but we have a day-to-day life to live. And in this day-to-day life to live, how we approach our world, what kind of mindset with what we approach our world is what matters to us with this Rajbodh Foundation. So this is what we want to project. So we are not purely bringing, pure kathakars, and but at the same time, those who are helping environment, and those who are helping sustainable living, those who are talking about human rights, those who are talking about interfaith. So these are the people that we want to bring and encourage, and most of them are actual professors. And thank you very much, Anupji. You have taken some time out of your busy schedule. Thank you very much for viewers as well for encouraging us. Bye for now. Namaskar.
Thank you, Mr. Madhava. Namaskar. Namaskar to all the viewers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.